Welcome to Freedom Forest, guys, the 3-acre edible oasis that we're creating here in the south of England, where we like to try lots of new things and push the boundaries with what we can grow using permaculture and no-dig methods. Absolutely no chemicals, weed killers or synthetic fertilisers, just what nature provides. And in today's video, we're going to be sharing with you some plans about our next food forest project. And before we get into all of that, if you like the sounds of what we're doing here at Freedom Forest, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. This area here has become known as our wild bed. It's approximately 11 by 16 metres, so similar to a moderate sized back garden, and it was actually the first vegetable bed that we put in at Freedom Forest. But over time, as we've been developing other areas, this bed here got a little bit neglected, and so we just left it to do its thing and watched what happened. And for quite some time, it has been providing us a good amount of food, particularly through the Hungry Gap. So we've been happy just to let it do its thing. But this year it hasn't performed so well. And we do feel that we could be making better use of this space. So with our focus to move more towards agroforestry, we have decided that this bed is going to be a great place for our next food forest. So as I just mentioned, this area here was actually the first space where we started growing vegetables at Freedom Forest. And the ground here was just solid orange clay. Dan had previously tried to grow a few potatoes, but it wasn't very successful. And it was at this time, when we were trying to work out what we could do with the soil here, that we discovered no-dig and Back to Eden. And so we decided we would go with a combination of these styles. And in this area, we started bringing in as much organic material as we could. So on top of the clay here, we started off by layering loads and loads of horse manure that we were able to get from one of the nearby horse fields here. And we were literally just wheelbarrowing all of the materials in. After the horse manure, we dug out about 5 years worth of grass clippings from my parents' house, and we brought all of those in here and we spread the grass clippings out all over this bed. And then after that we put down a small amount of compost, followed by a really deep layer of wood chip. And then we added extra wood chips, particularly to the front and down this bank here, and also in the far back corner where the ground just seemed to naturally dip down a little bit, and we were trying as much as we could to level it out. And the back corner was also at that time the most weediest area, so the more that we layered on, the more we were able to smother out the weeds. So one of the reasons that this is going to be a great place for a food forest is because the soil here now is actually really loose and really good quality underneath all of this sheep sorrel here. Most of the wood chips have now broken down, but the soil now is just really easily workable. And added to that, once you do get down the good foot or so of topsoil that we have created, or growing medium that we've created on top, you've then also got all of the nutrients that will be held in the clay below. So it is a beautiful sunny day here today, and as you can see, this area is mostly a full sun area. But at certain times of the day and certain times of the year, as the surrounding chestnut trees and oak trees and hedges have grown up, some of this bed has become partial sun, particularly towards the back and at ground level. But this is another reason why we think this area is going to be great for growing fruit trees, because they can grow up and into the sun more and will be able to get the full sun still, even as the surrounding trees grow even more themselves. So this bank here has been deeply wood chipped a couple of times in the past, and initially that did a really good job at keeping the weeds at bay. But as this area has been a little neglected and the wood chips have all rotted down, the weeds are really starting to take hold here again. Now, one of the things that we're focusing on more now is planning for the future, more easy maintenance and more perennial crops. So we think it will be a really good idea to pack this bank out with edible shrubs. So probably looking at things like gooseberries and blackcurrants, which grow really well for us here. And hopefully that will help to keep the weeds down and also to hold the bank together over time. Another thing that's helped inspire us to turn this area into a food forest is the realization that we've already got a brilliant ground layer in place in this area. We've got things like parsnips that are just self-seeding everywhere. We have got potatoes. There's even some elephant garlic, which has grown from the tiny little baby corms that come off the side of the elephant garlic from where I had grown that up here a good few years ago. And basically where we've just let everything do its thing, there's going to be so many seeds in the ground here and so many edibles already going on that hopefully as we add trees into this area, it's just going to make it even more productive and useful. One thing I will be starting to harvest from this bed soon, which I'm really excited about utilising this year, is a lot of the seeds from these chives. And we met with a chef called Brad Rowe back in October when we worked at the Ventnor Botanic Gardens for a while. And it was him that shared the idea with me that you can use them as a sprinkle on top of salads and, well, any dishes really that would benefit from having a slight onion flavour and a crunch. So I tried it on a meal that we had there that he prepared for us, and it really did add good flavour. So that is a top tip that I'm really excited about this year. So we're going to start by marking out a winding path right through the middle of this bed, with probably a couple of branches going off to the left and the right. And then we can mark out roughly how many trees we think we can fit into this area. And one other addition that's going to be going in here, which I'm really looking forward to, is going to be right at the top of this path here, along the back of the bed behind me here. We're going to be creating a yoga area where we can practice our yoga surrounded by the beauty of the food forest. Another really good addition to our food forest being in this area, we feel, is these Jerusalem artichokes, which we planted here as a bit of an overspill from what we grow in our main growing area. But we haven't actually gotten around to harvesting these last year. So they can just spread out as they please, and we can move them from areas where they're not suitable and let them grow on where they are. And we love using Jerusalem artichokes. They are such an amazing staple crop. And we're hoping to bring you more videos about those later on this year. So whilst in other areas at Freedom Forest we do like to try and push the limits a little bit, and particularly Dan likes to experiment with things that might be a little more exotic or slightly challenging to grow, we have been discussing keeping this area particularly for trees that we know, or trees and edibles that we know grow really well for us. So we probably are going to be focusing more in this area on things like apples, plums, and also crab apples, because I realised that we don't actually have any of those here at Freedom Forest. And crab apples are actually really useful for me because I like to do a lot of preserving, and you can use those as a replacement to lemon in a lot of recipes. So the whole aim for this area really is to make it as productive as possible and as well suited to our area as possible. Particularly as we start to get to a stage where we're thinking about selling our crops and being able to share more with other people, more of the goodness that we grow here at Freedom Forest. We've still got lots of the finer details to plan here in our food forest, and this is where we'd love your help. If you're in the UK or in a similar climate or growing zone to us, which is growing zone 9A, we'd love to hear from you about the things that you find grow well and that are super productive, and any suggestions that you have for us that might work well in this space. So please feel free to share that with us in the comments down below. And don't forget to make sure that you are subscribed to our channel to follow the journey of this new food forest as it unfolds. If you click the bell button, it will make sure you get notifications anytime that we bring out a new video, so you won't miss what's going on here, as we are hoping to make lots more videos on this space as we begin work and as it unfolds. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching today. Have a great time in your gardens, and we'll see you here again soon. Peace and plants. As always, we'd like to say a massive thank you for watching our videos, especially if you've made it right to the end here. We'd also like to give an extra big shout out to our Patreons. Your support really does help us to give our projects here more focus, time and attention, and then to also be able to share what we're doing here more with other people via our YouTube channel, which will hopefully benefit people all across the world and encourage them to grow more beautiful, healthy, fresh food for themselves using only natural methods. If you'd like to join our small but growing number of Patreons, who we appreciate dearly, then you can find more details on how to do this in the description down below the video. And we'll catch you here again at Freedom Forest soon.